Okay, in this video we're going to continue our way across the main menu bar and take a look at the edit menu. Now, just like with the file menu previously, you're going to see a lot of common stuff here underneath the edit menu. Things like undo and redo, things like cut, copy, paste, which do exactly what you think they would do. You can cut or copy various game objects that you have selected in your scene. We have duplicate and delete. Frame selected, which allows you to just flash over to something you have selected and zoom the camera right up to it. We can find objects this way, so if we want to run a search, we can select all, which generally I just use Control-A, but it is here. We have access to our preferences window, which I'm not really going to go into right now, but we can click, and there are some preferences here concerning Unity, which we can change. We also have access to a lot of other things as well. We have play, pause, and step, though admittedly I don't think I ever dig them out of this menu, but it's important for them to be somewhere. We can load and save various selections. So if you have a certain selection of objects and you know you're going to need to be selecting those objects a lot, you can save out that selection and then load it back in to reselect them at any given time. We have our project settings. Now, this is a series of various groups, categories of settings that we can open up inside the inspector. So just kind of grabbing a random one as an example, if we click on our player settings, our inspector will update for the actual player settings that we're using when we hit play, and take a look inside of our editor. Moving down from there, we have our render settings, which shows us various different important settings when we're controlling what our game looks like. You'll see this is where we can control things like fog, how much ambient light we're using. We can set up a default skybox, a default halo strength for all of our lights, a default flare strength. Basically, it's kind of like a series of render defaults they're like fallbacks. Right. If you haven't already set them up inside of a light or a camera, this is what you're going to be using. Moving on down, we have graphics emulation. Now, Lee, tell us what graphics emulation is going to do.
All right. There are various shader models that Unity supports. A lot of it depends on what your build target is going to be. If you're building out for, let's say, the Wii, the PS3, Xbox, the iPhone, Android, depending on where you're going, is going to dictate what shader models you're going to be building for. So what this does is let you emulate the different models, like shader 1 if you're building out for the older iPhones, older video cards, and it allows you to test your game and the shaders against those models to see how your game would perform in those conditions.
So we can set this like all the way down to DirectX 7 and get an idea of what this game would look like in DX7 mode.
Exactly.
And then we go ahead and switch it back. Now, if you're not using any emulation whatsoever, it's just kind of falling back to whatever the best happens to be for your computer.
Correct.
Now, let's jump down under Edit one last time, and we have our various network emulation. Now, this is not going to help us too much because we're not creating a game that's using any sort of network ability whatsoever. But if you need to test network speeds, you can change your network emulation, see what it would feel like on dial-up versus how it would feel on broadband. And then finally, we have our snap settings, and this allows you to control snapping, and we're going to have entire videos dedicated specifically to snapping, so really I'm just kind of pointing out this is where you'll find these. And that covers the entirety of the edit menu, and that'll wrap up this video.